Hey, comic book community, Mathboy Comics here. It's been about, 3 weeks since my last haul video or my last video, and just came back from Las Vegas and also got my CGC shipment in just earlier today, so I wanted to share those two things with you. Hit up the same stores that I went to over in Vegas the last time back in September. Didn't really find much, but still want to share it with you. So, starting here on the left, I thought this was a cool cover. There's really nothing too special about it, other than the fact that it's a black cover. Astonishing X-Men #1. Picked it up for a couple dollars over cover. Nothing too great. The second thing that I picked up was X-Men 31, and this is the first appearance of Kimura. Don't know too much about the character other than what I've seen online. Apparently, she's kind of like a younger parallel to like the Sabretooth character in relation to how Saberwolf, interacts with Wolverine. This is how Kimura is going to interact with X-23. But once I read up more about it, I'll let you guys know in a follow-up video. The find of the trip was actually the Carnage #10s that I found. I found quite a few copies. This is the first appearance of Rays, and I have here copy 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I think these things are going for about $15 to $20 on eBay right now. I'm probably going to put one or two out at a time, see how the market takes them, just to kind of recoup my costs. I was actually really fortunate to get all these for cover, so I assume that if I sell probably just two, I'll already be ahead after you account for PayPal fees and eBay fees. The other two books that I found were from the Silver Age. This is Fantastic Four #94. This is the first appearance of Agatha. I believe it's Agatha Harkness, and she's the witch that I think is like a nanny of sorts to Franklin Richards, but also has shown up in the recent Tom King Vision books. That kind of is like an aide or a some sort of mentor to the Scarlet Witch. I haven't read the Scarlet Witch, but I'm curious if she's like in those books too. And so this book, and also I picked up Marvel Premiere Iron Fist #16. I believe this is the second appearance of the Iron Fist. 15 is the one that's really sought after. This wasn't too much. I actually picked this book up for, I want to say, like $8 or $10, and I picked up this book for like $10 or $12. So I know that between the two books, I probably spent no more than $50 or $20. I'm sorry. The condition on this book is probably, I'd say, a good, maybe a VG good, 2.5, 2.0 to 3.0 at best. There's just things all around that that shows this book's been weathered. Let's see here. Probably the one thing though that makes me think that this is probably closer to a 3.0, maybe even possibly better if I can get it like cleaned. Is the fact that there are no book length creases. And I know that that's something that automatically gets you down to a 3.0 without even trying. So if this book got cleaned up just a tad bit, I think I'd be looking at probably 3.0, maybe, or 3.5, maybe a 4.0. I doubt it. And then this book is probably like a solid VG minus, so 3.5, 4.0. Nothing that great. I wasn't really. It's really more of having the book than it is about getting a perfect copy for me. When it comes to Silver Age books, realistically, I'm probably looking for anything in the 3.5 to 4.5 range. This is also Silver Age, so it's probably on the lower end quality wise of what I'd be willing to get, but considering the Netflix is putting out Iron Fist pretty soon, I just wanted to have something, no matter what, just in case the market took off with regards to Iron Fist. And having a second appearance is better. The only thing better, obviously, is the first appearance, but having anything, like I said, is important. So, going on to the CGC books. Let's see here. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and reveal. I'll tell you what I sent in, book by book or a couple books at a time. So I first sent in the Thanos quest that was released in 1990, and let's see here. I have both number 1 and number 2. And the one thing, the let's see, got a 9.4 and a 9.8. I picked these up over at San Diego Comic Con. I picked up both books together for, I want to say, like $60. The one thing I didn't know about was the fact that there's like some second print out there where I've visited a few dealers and they can't tell the difference between a first print and a second print. So I was kind of freaking out that I might end up with the second print, which is far less valuable than the first print. I'm really big on just Thanos, cosmic level entities, villains, and having this kind of as not necessarily early age stuff, but this lines up with the Infinity Gauntlet 6-book series that was back in 1991. So I'm very glad to have this in my collection. I looked at these. These are those thicker comics. I don't know if you can tell there just how thick this thing actually is, but they still go through the same degree of grading, where they're basically looking for corners being roughed, things of that sort. So this 9.8 was incredibly clean. I did notice the corners on the left hand side for the Thanos Quest number 1 were a bit abraded. So it is what it is. I'm just happy that I have it in my collection again, or like I had said. The next couple of books that I sent, and I sent a total of 6. The next 3 books that I sent were revolved around Gwenpool. So I sent in this Ron Lim Howard the Duck number 1. This is the one that's just incredibly hard to find. I think over the last 6 months, I might have seen one 9.8 on eBay. 9.6s probably 9.6s easily go for north of, I want to say, $300. These are 1 in 25 incentives. So the fact that it's Howard the Duck, I couldn't even imagine. Let's say hypothetically this book had a print run. Howard the Duck had a print run, let's say, of 60,000 books, probably 80,000. Let's say 1 in 25 would basically mean that this book, let's see here, for the life of me, we're talking about 1,600. No, that doesn't sound right. Let's see here. Well, regardless, I'm assuming that this book is, 10% of 80,000 is 10% of 80,000 is 8,000, and 5% of 80,000 is 4,000. So basically this book, there's probably about 3,200 copies if every single dealer had gotten the full 80,000, or had basically gotten the 1 in 25. So realistically, they tend to say that about 40% of that number would actually work out. So 40% of 3,200, there's probably less than 1,000 of these books out there, is basically my guess. So a 9.4 is pretty good. I need to go back and check the census to actually find out if there are any 9.8s. I want to say there's at least one. But the idea of having a 9.4, anything like in the solid near mints, I'm pretty happy. I bought this book over at San Diego as well. And I think I paid $90 for this. So, I'm ahead when it comes to what it costs at this point. A lot of this, if you've seen my other videos, I'm banking on the idea that Gwenpool's just going to get bigger and bigger as we go along. Let's see here. So that's number 1 out of 3. Number 2 out of 3. This book is not, it's a 1 in 25 as well. And it's basically when Gwenpool, this essentially Gwenpool number 0 is a redoing of Howard the Duck number 1, 2, and 3, all bound into one book. It's the backstories that happened on Howard the Duck 1, 2, and 3, and this book is pretty much a cover swipe or practically a cover steal of this book. So this is the first appearance of Gwenpool on cover or in the actual story. So I kind of had to complete the set really. Let's see. So 9.4. I bought this book for like $25. I can immediately tell that there were issues when I bought it. I was hoping that it was like a 9.4, 9.6. When I look at it, let's see here. I see the corner basically. There's a little bit of abrasion there, like an abraded corner. The spine has a few non-color. It has a total of 3 non-color breaking ticks on it. On the back, let's see, on the back in the upper right-hand corner near the spine, there's a bit more of an abraded corner there. So all those things, knowing that basically a 9.4 is essentially having 3 allowable defects, one of them being like kind of in the next grade to disqualify it from a 9.6. This is it's a solid grade. I definitely not gonna argue with it. The next book and the last book is the 1 in 50 Stacey Lee Gwenpool, and there's a story behind this. I actually got this at San Diego, but I was not the buyer of this. I had went with a friend, and he actually bought it, and he immediately found a color fleck right there. And he is a stickler for trying to get books that are 9.8s, and thought that this book was not going to qualify for a 9.8. So he turned around and he sold it to me, and I was willing to buy it from him. I think I bought it. The dealer had it listed at 60, and we pointed out the fleck to him and said we won't pay more than 50. So he sold it for 50. He he agreed with what we saw, and then I bought it from my friend for that same 50 because he didn't want to have it. He thought it was a flawed book. I sent it in, and lo and behold, I end up with a 9.8. Can't complain. I think that honestly, this should not have been a 9.8, but hey, I'm not going to argue. I don't know the Gwenpool number 1s. I want to say, my best guess that this is, first of all, this is a 1 in 50, a 1 in 50 Stacey Lee variant. I want to say that this is, if they printed like 160,000 copies, 1 in 50 basically gets me to about 3,200. Realistically, people were pretty big on Gwenpool, so the likelihood of them having this variant, probably instead of a 40% factor, is probably more like a 60% factor. So out of 3,200 possibly, we're probably talking about I'd say probably north of 2,000. No, north of 2,000. Probably like 2,160 might be a possible population for this book. That's going under the assumption that this is a that there was 160,000 books of the regular Gwenpool number 1 that were published. Last book here is I sent this in. I bought this from an LCS that is over in the valley. I'm over here on like near the beach areas in Southern California. Over in the valley, they have probably at least 8 different comic book stores. It's amazing on that side of town. And I found this on their wall. I bought it for $60, and it is the NYX number 4. It'd been pressed, and it looked gorgeous. And buying it for $60 raw, in this past summer I thought was a fair deal, knowing that this was, like what the potential for this book was. Sent it in, got a 9.6. I was expecting a 9.6, hoping for a 9.8. What I did see when I got it back, which I can't argue with, is in the upper right hand corner of the rear of the book. There's basically a little bit of a like an abraded corner, definitely on the bottom as well, where you can see the white. There's a couple of flecks on the left hand side here as well. So, I mean, considering that this book did not, actually, I take this back. This book probably did get pressed by the store owner, so that he could mark it up a bit. But I mean, considering that many of these books, especially with the NYX series, were kind of left, in long boxes since like 2004 or 2005, for it to come back as a 9.6, I definitely can't complain. So, this, from what I see with like the Logan trailer, and once that comes out, and I think that they've got a pretty good storyline, even though it's a divergence from the actual story. The NYX series and Old Man Logan are clearly two separate universes altogether, but they seem to have melded them together, and it's very akin to The Last of Us, which is that PlayStation 4 game series, which I think was very appealing when it comes to kind of telling a story. I think that they've put all the right factors in, and hopefully, my NYX4 and the NYX3 that I bought about a month ago, hopefully these things will appreciate even more so than they already have. And probably, this might be one of those modern day or modern age Hulk 151 type of things that we're, or I'm sorry, 151, 181 that we're looking at. There's a couple other books that I'm looking for, but those are more on the variant side. But this is pretty much what I have, and I think I'm going to be publishing another video pretty soon, and I'm going to try my hand at basically trying to do some online trading with with folks that might be interested. So that's probably what the next video is going to look like. All right, thanks again, you guys, and hope everyone has a good time, good luck looking for their books. All right, thanks a lot.